Hi there, Release Fire here, so I'm going to talk you through how I managed to beat Rude. I kind of did it ugly, but did manage to finish him off. Hopefully the video is going to help you out. If it does, drop me a like below. But essentially, there are three things that helped me out. The first of them was a little bit of fire damage on Rude, which seemed to increase his stagger quite well. And then secondly, Aerith's Soul Drain managed to take him out quite well and kind of just mini stagger him for a little bit that allows you then to switch on over to Cloud to get in some damage. So you can see here he was about to do a bit of a hit. I soul drained him and then managed to get in with Cloud to do a little bit of damage. Now it doesn't always work out. It only works out if you're close enough to him to be able to get in your hits with Cloud. But then the third thing is, as you saw there, roll in like a crazy person to get out of the way of all his hits. Now if I'd continued rolling then at the end, I think I'd have made that completely without getting hit at all. So you can see there a bit more fire damage and I'm getting him ever closer being staggered. And then you've got the soul drain again, and then that is enough to be able to finish him off for the first phase. And while I didn't manage to get him to stagger, he was right on the cusp of it. However, he went into the second phase and then that resets his stagger bar, so you've got to kind of like build all that up again. But before I did that, I wanted to make sure that I got a bit of a health boost, having had quite a few hits in the first little phase. So it's good to kind of like use that first section of the second phase to get in a potion if you need it, and then it's back to using fire damage and the soul drain trick to be able to bring him down even further. And if you're close enough with Cloud, then get in to do some damage, but be ready to dodge out of the way. Sadly, Focus Thrust doesn't do much in terms of making Rude stagger, so don't worry about doing that too much. Just keep focusing on those two things, so fire damage and the soul drain. However, that becomes slightly tricky partway through the second phase when Rude starts to do this crazy crouching kind of like barrier protection. He does this block that stops you from doing huge damage with things like fire and the soul drain. He's just blocking all of it, so you can see it doesn't do too much damage. But the best thing to do is that when he goes down, get in and do some damage with the sword and then jump on out to get out of the way of his next attack. And that's a good way to make the most of when he's doing the crazy block. Just get in with your sword, do some damage having used one of your big hits, and then get back out there. You can kind of see if you stay in there too long when you're trying to get in your damage with a sword, he can get you. So it's a good idea to just do a few hits, get on out, and then get back to running and dodging. But if you keep pressing and keep going with that as a process, soul drain, fire, get in, do some damage with the sword, get out, and use the roll to dodge out of the way, then that should be enough to chip away at him at this last kind of section to be able to finish him off, especially with Aerith in the background hitting up her damage. And then with the final hit of Soul Drain, I just about managed to finish him off as Cloud was getting kind of suplexed over into a cowshed or whatever. And that is how I managed to beat Rude. Hopefully that helps you out. If it does, drop me a like below. You can also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already with the links on the left hand side, and check out the rest of my guide to Final Fantasy VII Remake with the links on the right hand side. Leave any comments below and I will catch you next time.